I
Right.
see recording, and up in the upper left, there's like a shield with a check mark. That's the only other thing I've got.
Okay, can we start? We're gonna start with,
Yep,
the
we're
okay,
recording.
folks? All right. I
Yep.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
and
one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
justice for all.
liberty and justice for all. I did that not only for us, but for Mark Cuban as well. Anyway, so
Recording.
I want to start by saying this. I'm sorry that some of us have some difficulties with this Zoom meeting, but hopefully we'll be able to work out the bugs. Because I don't know how long this is going to go for, and we do want to start getting back into more regular meetings. If we look on the meeting agenda that Julianne sent out, there's minutes from September 10th, 2020. That was a while back. And I believe that was the last, Julianne, was that really the last time that we met?
Yes, it was.
Wow. So has anybody had the opportunity to go over the minutes? Does anybody have any concerns or questions or things that need to be corrected?
Nope. I read over the minutes of the meeting. I have no corrections.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the minutes from September 10th? Actually, Julianne, the minutes actually are titled July 9th, 2020, but these are minutes from,
I say July 9th.
but
Okay.
these are minutes from September 10th. So I guess with that amended to say September 10th, 2020, do we have a motion to accept the there's Dan Judge. Hey, hi Dan.
I'll second.
Hey Dan. So, Dan, you're muted. If you want to speak, you have to just hit the mute button.
Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hey,
Okay,
Dan.
we just took we just got a motion to accept the minutes. Who made that motion?
Les did.
Les made the motion to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
second,
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, so going forward here, or correspondence, Julianne, do we have any correspondence? I know that we had somebody, I think it was Mickey.
Yep, she's at the meetings pretty regularly.
So, but I didn't get to see what she wrote. All I saw, I don't know if any of you did either. I just saw that she, congratulated the DPW for the good snow plowing. She also said that she's been coming to the meetings regularly and she spends too much time on it, but I didn't hear what her concern was.
I don't think it was more of a concern. I think it was more, she's just frustrated because she doesn't feel like anything really gets done.
Yeah, well,
So I thought I'd pass that along.
I mean, I feel terrible that she feels that way. I know that we as a committee have talked many times how we feel we do get a lot done. I know that sometimes it seems like nothing gets done because people continue to speed and people continue to break the law and people, but that stuff is out of our, control. So I hope that maybe if you give me her phone number, I can call her and ask her specifically what she feels isn't being done, because I know that we were talking about putting this, the stop signs that had the red reflectors on them, but COVID hit and we had to use resources in other places. So I'd be curious to know what some of her concerns are.
Okay, I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Thank you. So no other correspondence, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about under the new business, I had a chance to talk with Les, or not Les. I had a chance to talk with Ed, and I have it written down. Ed, by the way, Ed couldn't make it because it is his birthday dinner tonight, so he's out having dinner. So, but he did talk to me, and we have been meeting with the what is it called, Julian? CD? What's the acronym? CDC or CDT?
CDT.
It's the Capital District Transportation. And I actually attended a meeting a while back representing the village. Julianne's attended a meeting, I know, and I know that Ed has also been attending meetings. But in the future, it looks like Mayor Tobin is going to attend meetings, and he's not only that, but he's going to be a member of the steering committee. So that's going to really help us. It's going to really help us with our working together with them. So when you see Mayor Tobin, thank him for taking such a initiative. There
Frank,
was a yes.
Frank, Danny Judge, do we have the ability to anyone, do we have the availability of anyone else to attend those meetings? I mean, could I get on that list, or is it is it a small meeting?
I tell you what, Dan, you had your hand up.
Yeah,
Yes.
if I could provide some insight on that. The committee that Mayor Tobin has been appointed to is the policy committee, and that committee is only made up of elected officials. And then the other one, the planning committee, is more for for a staff level in the village. So that's just how it goes. So having rotating members or additional members, usually that's not how they proceed.
Okay,
So I
but I
just
mean, you're referring to the CDTA meeting, right?
no, I'm talking about CDTC, the Capital District Transportation Committee. They're the metropolitan planning organization that funnels basically federal money through the four county capital district region.
Okay,
But history has shown when you have members on, attending the planning committee meetings, it helps your municipality's projects get considered. And when you get somebody on the policy board, that's an even bigger step. And that's just, and I don't mean to cut you off, Frank, but that's given my experience working with them way back when I was with the county.
okay.
Well, no,
Thank
I
you.
think that's great that you were able to answer that. I just attended one meeting to represent the village, but so it looks like the village has that in hand. But definitely, Mr. Judge, we will definitely keep you in mind. Matter of fact, Julianne, if you can make a notation that if someone else is needed to ever fill in for a meeting, Mr. Judge has expressed interest. Thank you, Dan.
Yep,
Well, thank you both, Dans. So another thing on here, which you will all be pleased, and I wish George could make it because this is really something that George has been wanting. We have a grant thanks to Senator Breslin. So when you see Senator Breslin out and about, we can also thank him. We have a grant that has now given us, those "Your Speed Is" signs that were stationary to poles.
yes.
We were looking at a while back. Does
Yeah.
everybody know what I mean?
Yes,
Okay, well, we have got a grant that has given us 10 of those. And Ed and I were talking, and I'll let you guys discuss how you feel, but we were thinking we would need 2 per street, 1 in each direction. So that would limit us to 5 streets. So how we would need to proceed as a committee is recommending to the board that there be some criteria to get these particular Your Speed Is devices. And really quickly, I came up with a few things that would help us. And one is obviously, I think there's 3 sets of criteria that should be involved. If you want to add more, delete, we'll talk about it. I'll open it up for discussion. But one of the things is median speed. The other thing is car count. And the other criteria would be it has to be in a residential zone. With that, with median speed, car count, and residential zone, Ed and I talked about Lincoln, Locust, Sand Creek, and Hunting. But for the fifth one, it's hard for us to determine anything. I threw out Red Fox or possibly Lansing because they both have issues and they both have quite a lot of vehicles, but I think that would require a little research from the village, the village archives, some of the past traffic studies that we've done. I know we've done it both on Lansing and Red Fox. And if we could get the numbers to see which street has the most vehicles and the higher car count, that would help us to, because I believe, unless guys, there was another street that I'm missing. Broderick was a troubled street, but I don't know. We'd have to do research for that as well.
Frank, I agree. This is Danny Judge. Frank, I agree. When we do all of our signs, all right, lead signs, Lincoln, Locust, and Sand Creek, that's a no-brainer. Those three definitely need it. So if we got 10 signs, we need 2 more streets. And I hate to go on Lansing for like 25 houses. You know, you want to get something where you get the biggest bang for your buck. I think you're on target for the other 2 streets. I think you're on target with Hunting and Red Fox. All right, one of those 2. And then the third one, I mean, we'll have to just pick one. We'll have to figure one else out. But I think 3 of them are a no-brainer. You got the 3. And I think Red Fox is good. I'd like to hear from other members, but do you agree that those 3 are
well,
the main ones?
I thank you, Mr. Judge. Mr. Hornick has his hand raised. So, and by the way, Les, if you can't, just so you guys know, there is a way to raise your hand in this.
Oh,
Yeah. And so if I can't see you, you can still raise your hand. And Julianne, you might want to tell them how to do that. I know
I
you
don't
have to
know how to
press participants. Well, you would go to the bottom of your screen and it says participants chat or share screen. Hit the participants. And if you hit the participants, anytime you wanted to raise your hand, it'll show you at the bottom of that.
how's that, Frank? I got a hand raised. I found out how to do it quick. On the bottom of the screen, there's a thing that says more, and you click that. It's the bottom right. Click it, and it comes up, and it says raise hand, and you just tap it. So I got my hand raised right now when you want to call me.
Yeah, and I can see where you do have your hands raised. There are 2 hands raised. John's hands raised, and Dan Judge's are raised. So we'll go with you first, Dan Judge. You have your hand raised.
Okay.
Else, it was Dan Hornick. You wanted to comment on what Mr. Judge said, correct?
No, I wanted to comment on what you said.
Okay, please do.
Okay, first of all, I would strongly recommend that we develop some criteria first. You know, and I like some of the ones that Frank threw out there. I'd like to add a couple others as my cat tries to log me off this meet. I'd like us to consider a couple other criteria. And, you know, I think what we should look at is the streets which meet multiple of these criteria. I don't think it's going to change any of the streets that Frank said, but I think we should also look at streets that have numerous complaints from residents, streets that have a history of traffic accidents, numerous speed citations issued by Colony Police. I think those should be some additional criteria that we consider. When I was thinking about other criteria, I did have a 4th one, naturally occurring impediments like hills, sharp turns, or blind spots, because that was one of the things I was thinking about that would definitely apply to, I believe it's Red Fox for sure at the top of that hill, and Locust Park. So I'm thinking some of those other things might be things we want to add as potential criteria, for this, but I don't think it's going to change your list, Frank. And the only other thing I would suggest is, I think there are one or two streets in the village that we might not need them on both sides of the street. We might not need them on both sides of the street. And I'm thinking that might be this initial batch, because what I'm thinking is we put one on Harriet headed towards Tanglewood and one on Broderick headed towards Central. So I'm thinking maybe that last set we can split up in terms of where they're positioned, but the other ones I'm in full agreement on. So that's
Well, I
my,
appreciate that.
that's my two.
Mr. Judge, or I'm sorry, John Gillivan?
Yes, Dan Hornick, I like your other criterias as well. I think that I fully agree with that. One of the things I'm going to ask was, and maybe Kevin can pipe in on this, or Frank, is that so it sounds like these are going to be temporary mounted or permanent mounted?
These are going to be permanently mounted.
Permanently mounted. Okay.
Correct.
Because reason I bring that up is that that may change well, I mean, it may not change the top 3 or the top 5 right now, but down the road, we can always get more signs. If we have the flexibility of maybe putting in 3 permanent, maybe 2 temporary, we'd have an option of moving some other ones later on. I mean, we wouldn't be holding our feet to the fire. That's all. I'm not saying.
No, I definitely hear what you're saying, John, and that's something.
I'm not sure how easy that could be done,
Yeah.
or if that.
Well, I mean, according to Ed, it's permanent. Wherever we put them,
Okay.
they're
All right.
permanent.
All right.
But it also means, John, we're not just going to end up with just 5. We do foresee, I'm sorry, with just 10. We do foresee others coming our way as well.
Okay.
Kevin, if you could add to this, you know more than I do about this. Probably, you think it's wise to just go with what Ed's thinking, and that it's permanent?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're power run, they're not solar. Correct?
Good point.
I don't know, Kevin. I don't know what he said.
Okay.
If they're solar, if they're
If
power.
they're power run, obviously they're going to be somewhat permanent because you're going to run power to the source.
Yep.
I like the idea. The criteria is more than just 3. I think the police department has better information on, not just complaints, accident histories, all that. The other thing I was looking at, if you look at your mapping and the layout of the land and whatnot, you say like Locust and Hunting and whatnot. Maybe you don't need 2 on Locust. Maybe you need 1 at Locust and Central and 1 at Hunting and Sand Creek. So maybe we can gain 1 there and go elsewhere. We also talked about Broderick. Maybe you need 1 at Broderick and Central, and then I think, what is it, Rappel, that connects on the backside of that, where if you had Rappel, at least you're getting more of the majority of the traffic through the neighborhoods that will be educated when they're either coming home or whatnot. My biggest concern would be trying to get the biggest bang for your buck, the most cars going by this thing for yourself. So that's more what I would look at, is to see, like John said, if we hit, or Dan, if we hit, we say Harriet and then Tanglewood, whatnot, it doesn't have to be every street or on just 1 street, but if it could encompass the major feeder streets for that development, you're covering the whole development. That's what I would look more at.
Now, say that last statement again, Kevin. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you said about covering the majority. Where would you put the sign?
Well, if forgive me, I don't know the village. I know the village well enough, but I don't know all the streets and whatnot. But if there's a fairly big neighborhood behind Broderick and where Gale is and all that area, whereas if you have 2 main feeder streets going into that development, same thing in your development. If you have if the 2 feeder streets are, say, and I'm probably wrong here, but if whether it's Tanglewood or Sharon, maybe those are the 2 streets that you want to concentrate on, their entranceways, so that when they bypass these things going home in their travels, they're gonna recognize it and see it.
Well,
Um,
I know what you're saying there. One of the things that Ed was talking to me about, and I got you, Dan, I'll get you next. One of the things that Ed was discussing is he wanted them more in the middle of the streets. And that way you can see how fast you're going. If you put them at the end of Sharon and Tanglewood, they're always going to be slowed down to a point to have to make the turn. Ed wanted them in the middle of the streets, and that's why he was thinking, and this is the only, guys, this is the only reason why I was thinking 2 per street, because if you put one on one direction in the middle, the other on the other direction in the middle. Now, that would be, in my opinion, for the big 3. But I hear what you guys are saying about the other 2 streets. You may not need 2 on each one of those. You may be able to stretch it, but it goes back to Kevin, what you were saying about criteria. And you said the police department already has it. So I would say my own opinion is don't reinvent the wheel. Is there a way we can, you can read us some of these, some of this criteria list? Because really all we need to do tonight is agree on something that Julianne can present to the board.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
So I guess, do you have anything available, Kevin, that you could read to us that shows what, let's say, the Colony Police Department criteria is, or any other, maybe Albany Police Department criteria or anything like that?
Not on my fingertips at the moment. I can reach out. and
Okay.
try to get Something.
Okay, because I know that, maybe if we could do some homework from now until the next meeting in March, it would
Right.
give us the ability to still forward our recommendation to the board and giving them enough time to get these things installed for the spring. And that way, guys, we don't have to beat ourselves up with what the criteria should be. I mean, we know car count, we know speed. But if the police department has something already, would you all agree that would be a better route, correct? So, I don't know. Does anybody have anything else before we go on to the next thing on the docket? We could simply end this by saying that Kevin suggested that we look at some of the police department criteria for this kind of thing. And we could, maybe Kevin, if you could, research a little bit of it and get it to Julianne so she can distribute it to us before the next meeting, and we could look at it and maybe talk about it and decide whether to implement that for the March meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all in agreement with that, guys?
Frank, I have my hand up there. I don't know if you spotted it. or not.
Oh, yes, your hand is up. And by the way, the only one that can take hands down, Julianne's the only one that can take them down because she's responsible for the meeting. So I can't. So sometimes even after you've talked, your hands are still up. Like Kevin, your hand's still up.
I can take it down too. I can take my own down. So,
Oh, good.
but what I was going to say is I agree with you on those where the sign placements should be, but we could ask Jason's input and see if they could tell you for the police department where to put them. And like you said before, the signs can't be, they got to be in the middle of the street. If you put it where you come right off of a street, you're not high enough to be speeding yet. You're coming in and you're only in a few feet. And you got some of those streets, like you mentioned, you get to the end of it, you're going to be slowing down. It's not going to be effective. You want to catch it right where the people are speeding, right in the middle. And just one to throw out, okay, on Broderick, there's been accidents on the end of Gale, okay, where there's a hill. And people don't see that hill and they're coming up, they're coming from Broderick, from Central, okay, and they're heading down Broderick. And as Gale comes in, people on Gale's got a stop sign, but they can't see it. So that might be a good place for one sign on Broderick, just to give it, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and again, once we have the criteria, whether it be Maybe Julian, if you could reach out to Jason and ask him, tell him what we're looking to do. Maybe he can research for the Colony Police. Kevin, you could research something, and by next meeting, maybe Julianne, you'll be able to get what they have and send it to us via an email just so we could look at it. We don't have to spend time on these meetings reading it for the first time. We can all have already looked at it and say, okay, this is the criteria we'd like to submit. And Ed should be back for that meeting as well. And he can tell us more of why he wants 2 per street and why that's important, or if he's willing to negotiate with maybe 3 of them having 2 per street, and then using Dan Judge's logic for having just 1 on a few other streets might be the way to go as well. That way we get more streets and covering more. We know that the residents, once they see these, everybody's going to call them and they're going to want one. This is why having criteria that is set in stone is the most important way to go, because that way it's unquestionable. If there's a concern, we simply send these people what the criteria is. And, I think we would be really remiss if we just, went ahead and had criteria for 3 of them and used different criteria for another one or another one. So whatever we come up with, we should agree on. And so again, I would like to see, if you don't mind, Kevin, if you could research some things, send it to Julianne, and maybe if we can reach out to Jason DePaula and he could send you something, Julianne, and that way the board or the committee here can look at it. And by next meeting, we can really hash out what we're recommending to the board. What do you think, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Okay. All right, Les? Are you still with us?
Frank, can I chime in here? I can't find my hand raise feature.
Oh, that's okay. I see it.
No,
Okay.
no, I don't want to cut off John. If John had something he wanted to say, I don't want to cut him off. It's his turn. If could I also have people thinking about as a criteria that maybe that we give less deference to installing these signs on streets that maybe already have some other type of serious speed mitigation on them already, i.e. speed bumps, so that, that we're trying to spread out the different types of mitigations we have. So I just want to put that out there for people to think about, because I personally would be less inclined to put these on, Mordella or Delafield or Rappel versus streets that don't have any other type of speed control already on them.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty easy thing for us to agree on. I think, and I know where you're going with this, I think, Dan, is I know that Tanglewood Road has no mitigation on it. And it's like where the stop is at Sharon, we've already talked about it. It's like a racetrack. Everybody just kind of races through there. So something similar to that, the Red Fox scenario, the Broderick scenario. And one of the things that Ed spoke to me about, I wanted to share his feelings. He doesn't want to put it on anything that is a dead end or a cul-de-sac or, anything like that. So if we put it on a Broderick, it would have to be between Central and Gale, something like that, where they're building up speed and, maybe right at that intersection would be kind of cool. Put it both ways. It's not so much for the speeders coming off of Gale as it is the people going one length of the street to the other. But anyway, that's a great idea. Anybody else have anything on the speed signs?
Yeah, just one other thing, Frank, is on Hunting and on Locust Park. Maybe Kevin can provide some data, or Jason can. Hunting's a pretty long road. You want to put it between Locust Park and what's the other one? Stirrup, or or Red Fox to Barker. I mean, so we got to decide where, I don't think you'd want to put it on the downhill of Locust Park heading towards Sand Creek North. And then on Locust Park, the question is, I mean, obviously the straightaway is from Central Avenue up to the big curve, right?
Yeah.
Where it makes that hard left that goes then down to Hunting. So I would think you'd want to have it on the straightaway somewhere, maybe midpoint. But again, we need to determine where we get the most bang for our buck on each one of these corridors. And
You bring up a great point, John. And really, I mean, it's very important that whatever we settle on has to really give us the bang for our buck. And again, I think that's why if we look at criteria that has already been set by communities, they might actually, include that in there. But yeah, definitely. And as I was listening to you speak, I was even rethinking hunting, because it goes back into something that I think Mr. Hornick said, that it already has speed mitigation. There's where we put there's the 3 sets of 4-way stops, with the road narrowing. We've already got that all along Hunting. I mean, I'm not saying let's not go hunting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that might be, because if we went hunting, guys, it would be very difficult to decide where on hunting. Do you put it between the first set of 4-ways? Do you put it between the second set of 4-ways? And if you do one and not the other, residents on that street are going to be upset. So that may be a problem street, simply because we have the mitigation already in place. I'm just saying it may be a problem. A street that is not a problem, obviously, is Lincoln. Obviously, is Sand Creek Road, between the traffic lights that are in the village. Those are 2 that we can, and no matter what the criteria is, I'm sure they're going to fit the criteria. It's when you're figuring out the other streets is where we're going to have to take a good look at whatever Kevin comes up with, or whatever Jason comes up with, and shows us. Because as I was listening to you speak, John, that I was really questioning how difficult it'll be to do hunting, because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't on that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Locust and Lincoln, Sand Creek might be the easiest 3 to do at this point, and the others, and one may not be, hunting. It may be one at Broderick, like Mr. Judge said. It might be one at Red Fox, going in a certain direction. I don't know, but let's first, before we kill ourselves over this, let's try to go with getting the criteria distributed to us from other villages or towns or police departments, and we can look at it and agree, for next month's meeting. That'll be the number 1 topic, besides getting the street signs, the yard signs back out in some kind of distribution. But which I was going to ask Mr. Judge to talk about in a few seconds. But do you all agree that we can we think this is a great idea? We kind of want to get some ideas of what the criteria is already in other places, and chew it over so we can talk about it next meeting.
I agree.
Okay, so that was that, and then we have, looking for my phone because I took my notes and I put it on my phone. So we could come up with criteria. Okay, yeah, okay. So anyway, I now would like to ask Mr. Judge to talk a little bit about what are your plans? Have you thought about it? Redistribution of the yard signs.
Yeah. Frank, I'm gonna put together a list like we did last year. The dates right now tentative is gonna be May 1st to October 2nd. It'll be up almost what we did last year. It'll be up for a total of 22 weeks, and I'll get the schedule out probably by next meeting.
Fantastic.
Frank, I had two more things I was gonna ask, if I
Yes,
could.
sir.
I got in late, so I missed the minutes, okay? In the minutes, the mayor and Dr. DePaula, obviously, well, we're gonna talk to Castleman Solar about speeding. It was brought up by Mrs. Angier or whatever her name was. And it was in the minutes that they were gonna talk to him. Do you know if that meeting took place? Did Castleman Solar get talked to by Ed and Mr. DePaula?
I can't comment on that. Julianne, can you comment on that?
I cannot, no.
Okay, just bring it up there. Well, I'll bring it up next meeting when Ed's here. The other question, one other thing I had,
I got you, Dan.
Dan, you talked about that CDA meeting you went to. In the minutes, it talked about a $3 billion traffic study on Central. Am I reading that correctly? Are they gonna do a $3 billion traffic study on Central?
I think it might have been 3 million, not
I mean, the
billion.
minutes said 3 billion, and I didn't know, you know.
Okay, I wasn't at that meeting. So
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were there.
but I don't remember hearing billion. Billion would involve construction.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think million is probably more accurate in terms of the study.
Yeah, it was in our meeting minutes on page 3, second paragraph from the bottom. So, okay, I thought I was reading it wrong, but I wanted to get some input.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Judge, just based on something you said earlier? Where are we at in terms of sign supply and sign stands?
We have plenty I'm going to put together a list again. The only list that grew were the call-ins. And this year, if I had to do all the call-ins on one weekend, we wouldn't have enough signs. So I broke it up. We're going to do call-ins on 2 different weekends, and that should give us enough signs for the whole year. We shouldn't have to buy any right now.
That's great news. That's great. That's a great, investment, those signs, and they
Yep.
do work, and
Yep.
people are very pleased with it. And it's a way that we can get people, to every street, people's streets that want them, we can do them. So that's great.
If anyone asks, Julianne, if anybody asks or you get stuff, it's going to be like last year. We're still going to go with the COVID, and we're not going to go door to door asking for new people. So if anyone wants a sign, they got to go through the procedure. They got to call in a village hall and get on the list.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. And so anyway, I am so frozen. It looks like I'm taking a drink right now. Anyway, does anybody have anything from the floor that they want to throw out? Because I think we've pretty much, there was one other thing. George isn't here. George wanted me to still bring up the crosswalk on Sand Creek. He says that he's got an idea and he'll share it with us at the next meeting, because we can't have a crosswalk going into nothing. So on the one side of Sand Creek, it goes into a sidewalk, but on the other side, if let's say it's on a corner of Delafield and Sand Creek, there's no sidewalk, but he's got an idea he wants to show us pictures of. So be prepared for that at next meeting. But I have no other things to talk about if somebody from the floor would like to speak on something. Mr. Hornick.
Just real quick, I want to wish Julianne well, because she will not be at our March meeting for sure.
Oh, I will not.
I'll second that.
Thank
I
you.
will second that too. Julianne, when will you be coming back to us?
June 1st.
June 1st. Okay. Wonderful. Congratulations, though.
Thank
again.
you.
I will be at the next meeting, but I'll have a brand new hip. Oh,
Good.
what's that, buddy?
All right,
What's that?
Frank, if
Someone said
that's it,
something
would,
about the hip?
no, good luck with it. Let me know if you want to make a motion to adjourn,
Oh,
Frank.
thank
Is there anything else?
I don't have anything else. I haven't heard, I mean, poor Les, I see his name up there, but I haven't heard anything from him. Has he been with us this whole time, John? I can't hear him, John. You got your mute on. You're muted. I don't know if John's talking to us or he's
Yeah, I'm
talking to
gonna-
Les or he's,
Yeah, I
There he
figured
is.
on mute. What was I gonna say? I can't remember now. Miss Deputy Mayor Sim had the last meeting in September said that the village had submitted a application for a grant to do a traffic study on Sand Creek. Does anyone know if we have a response from CDTC on that? We may not. We may have maybe another month or two.
yeah, I didn't hear anything on that. But I do know now that we're involved in the city, I keep forgetting the acronym CDTC or whatever. Now that we're involved in that a little more, I think we should be hearing more
Yep.
about it.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. I just wanted to, because I'm also, I finally got my foot in the door with the town of Colony. The Keeler Motor Car facility or campus is being totally rearranged and added to. And so I got my foot in the door. They're talking about putting a multi-use path from Route 7 behind Keeler or the Cumbie Farms down to River Road to the Marsh Landing access to the Mohawk Hudson Bike and Hike Trail. And if you think about
Nice.
that would be
Nice.
that would be the last arterial that would connect to the Albany County Connector. The Albany County Connector goes through British American Boulevard up through Corporate Woods, picks up the Shaker Trail, comes down to wonderful Sand Creek, around CBA, Sand Creek, and then
Yeah,
Hunting, Locust Park, across Central Avenue, and all the way out to Rapp Road and the 6 Mile Waterworks. So I've got some. They're in the conceptual phase right now on this new multi-use path, which will be behind the Keeler new campus. I'm calling it campus because they're adding buildings. They're they got Maserati, Alfa Romeo. I wish I could afford any of these cars, as well as Mercedes and BMWs and Hondas. So there's a lot going on. The new director of their development economic group in the town is Sean McGuire. He took over Joe LaCivita. Joe LaCivita went to City of Waterville. And Sean
Interesting.
McGuire is younger, has some neat ideas, has a lot of background. So I think and I've been sitting in on their planning board meetings, and that's how I got my foot in the door. They asked me if I could be a consultant for free, obviously, to give them some advice from a bike and pedestrian advocacy. So I'm preaching that the village has got intent to do something with Locust Park eventually. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but we are continually looking at that. But Ed's right. If we get a grant for Sand Creek and that gets approved, that's going to be our first priority to attack.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. That's
Okay.
great. And it's funny, John, while you're bringing that up, I don't know if anybody has had a chance to look at the park. You remember I spoke at the last meeting months back about the trail at the Bauer Park there.
Yep.
The boards were all rotted and coming up, and
Yeah.
I've seen bicyclists not being able to actually drive through. So I suggested maybe somebody check into a Boy Scout troop, or somebody wants an Eagle Scout project, or if we could just get somebody back in there to help replace some of those boards, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would be
So,
very
but
good.
anyway, hopefully we can add that, Julianne, to the minutes. We're still concerned about the Bower Park Trail, the routing boards and everything, so. Anyway, you got anything else, John?
No, that's all I had.
Okay, do I have a motion now to adjourn until March?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second? Second by Mr. Hornick. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Julianne. Good luck.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. See
Bye-bye.
ya.